Hello, today we are going to compile KDE software from source code using the KDE build framework KDE Craft on Windows 11. So this is the Windows 11 Pro machine. This is the KDE official website, kde.org. Get involved. Development. Operating system says other operating systems. And in here we want to search Microsoft Windows. There's a dedicated page for building KDE software from source on Windows. We are going to use this tool, KDE Craft, which is a build framework from the KDE community. And we can use Windows 10 or 11. And we need to select between KDE Craft Qt 5 that uses Visual Studio 2019 and KDE Craft Qt 6 which uses Visual Studio 2022. And we need Visual Studio if we want Qt Web Engine, which we totally do. Most KDE software desktop applications actually will need Qt Web Engine, at least for the HTML help functionality for displaying the product manual. It's the default HTML widget and control in KDE applications, Qt Web Engine. So we're going to select Visual Studio Community 2022 and Qt 6 and KDE Craft and Windows 11. Let's see about enable development mode. I just searched on the Windows Start menu for enable developer mode for Windows. Settings for developers, Nope. Let's search the settings application. System for developers, developer mode on, turn on, yes. So this allows installing apps from outside the Microsoft Store. This is enabled by default in Windows 11 Professional. You can install software from the internet. It doesn't really explain what developer mode is, but this is required by the procedure to start programming for KDE using Windows. So I did it. We don't use devices, we don't use SSH, no device portal, no embedded development, no SSH server. I know. Okay, then it says that we should install KDE Craft in a PowerShell environment and could require that a PowerShell shell is running as a administrator, so elevated as administrator. So let's do that. Windows PowerShell. It's not elevated, let's elevate it. This thing. I clicked on this arrow and there's this button here, run as administrator. Okay, I'll put the documentation in the half right of the screen, and the left half of the screen will be the work, so a PowerShell terminal. This is pretty common when you do anything complicated in PowerShell. You set execution policy. Let's go with A, yes to all. Next up, if you have installed Python for Windows, you have HTTPS certificate errors. Okay, where does it say that we should install Python? In here on the first step. So we want Python 3. Let's install this one, the latest version 3.12.4. The correct file is downloaded, so AMD64 and exe installer. I'm not going to install just for this user. Customize installation for all users. We could skip the documentation if you want. And the Python test suite. Next. Install for all users. Looks okay. It has asked for elevation as administrator in order to install in C:\program files. So the procedure starts install Python. Craft will install a Python, but still we need to install another Python, the default Python for Windows, Python 3. No need to set any PowerShell because PowerShell version 5 is available in Windows 10, and we're using Windows 11, which will have an even newer version of PowerShell. Visual Studio must be installed independently by the user. Okay, so let's install it. Setup was successful. Disable path length limit to 260 max path, if you want that. Close. And we also want to enable the HTTPS certificates for Python. How do we do that? I'm not sure. CMD. Or in this elevated PowerShell, maybe it works also in here. Okay. So it upgraded. It did not upgrade PIP, but it installed Certify, which is probably making the root certificate authorities that are built into Windows 11 available to the Python 11 runtime libraries and applications. Okay, so before actually installing KDE Craft, we'll need to install Visual Studio Community 2022, and we need at least the components for C++ programming. Let's see that. Visual Studio Community download. Download. This is the online installer. Okay, it has loaded the fact that it wants to install the correct product, which is Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2022. We want C++ things. So ASP.NET is C#, this is Python, this is cloud programming. This is JavaScript, this is C#, this is C++, this is C#, WinUI, C#, .NET, and .NET Framework. We're not going to cross-compile towards iOS, Android, Linux, etc. We're not doing game development. We're not using the framework Unity. Not programming for Microsoft Office, for Visual Studio, SQL Server, F#, data science. So these are the workloads that I want. Desktop development with C++. And let's look at the rest of the components that we want. Says desktop development with C++. We have it. C++ ATL. Where is that thing? C++ ATL for latest V143 build tools. We have it. Windows SDK. Windows 11 SDK. 2.2.6, not the latest version, the penultimate version. So the newest version is 26,100 and the penultimate is 22,600. Okay. So I didn't need to change anything in installation details. The only thing that I needed to select in the Visual Studio Community installer is desktop development with C++. This checkbox, I have enabled it. Okay, and now we can start installing. This will take a while. We'll download 2 gigabytes of data, then it will expand that thing, install it into C: program space files. The Visual Studio installer has finished downloading, and now it's installing packages. It's 3/4 of the way done with installing. The Visual Studio installer has finished, and it has started the application Visual Studio 2022 Community Edition. We go don't sign in, skip for now. I usually select Visual C++ in here because I like the shortcuts, but we theoretically should not use Visual Studio at all, the desktop graphical user interface application. It's just installed here as a dependency of KDE Craft. So maybe it's a good idea when you install inside of the Visual Studio installer that you configure such that the app is not started automatically after it's installed correctly. So this is it, installed. We can close the installer and let's continue with the procedure. We should probably restart the Windows PowerShell because Visual Studio has edited a ton of environment variables, and we want these to be available in PowerShell probably. Who knows? So Windows PowerShell, we can right click and run as administrator or find it in this list with apps, which I cannot find it. And then there's this button. So right click and run as administrator. Okay. I'm going to set this thing again. I'm not sure what's the scope current user. So per all of the future invocations of PowerShell 64-bit, when we started, it's going to allow execution policy of remote side, I guess. Okay, we did install the PIP package certified for our Python. And now we're going to do a bit of curl and execute. The equivalent in PowerShell, which is Internet Explorer download, new net web client, whatever. So this downloads the file install underscore craft.ps1, which is a PowerShell script from the GitHub repository KDE Craft. And we're going to try to keep the defaults as much as possible. This is a fresh installation of Windows 11 Pro, especially created for running KDE Craft. So let's keep the defaults. So first was install underscore craft.ps1, then it's craft bootstrap.py. Okay, let's see what it says. So this is a installation wizard, another one. Says that the directory where files will be downloaded, build, git cloned, etc. is c:\craft root. We need to select upfront if we want Qt 5 or Qt 6. We cannot have both. So we're going to go Qt 6 only, and that's the default option. So I'm going to press enter. Select compiler. So it has detected that Microsoft Visual Studio 2022 is already installed and it defaults to that, which is correct. Because of the max path limitation in Windows, KDE Craft creates this directory with the shortest name possible, which is underscore in c:\\. Do you want to install a start menu entry? I have never used this. Do you want to enable support for colored logs? I'm keeping the defaults by pressing enter. Okay, craftmaster.zip, which is the entire Git repository from GitHub. It's downloaded from invent.kit.org. Okay, packaging craft. So this is a GitLab project. invent.kit.org/packaging/craft. Okay, so Windows, Microsoft Visual C++ 2022, AMD64, and it does things without waiting for me to do anything. So it's installing many executables, such as this wget, many libraries. It's installing the 7-zip unzipper, Git, this portable git.7zip. It's KDE Craft has many dependencies. The KDE Git repositories have many dependencies. KDE Craft will install as many of these dependencies as possible pre-built. So not compiled from source, but it tries to download the official installers from the internet and install that. Tries to download the official portable installations, archives, and extracts that. Or it has a cache with the latest KDE Git repositories built. So after a KDE Git repository is built using KDE Craft, that might end up in a KDE Craft cache, and then subsequent users of KDE Craft do not need to recompile that KDE Git repository from scratch. They can use the pre-built archive from the cache, KDE Craft cache. Okay, so it's still working on what? This is sed, probably GNU sed. MCs, so many GNU utilities. are needed and are packaged for Windows 64-bit by the project MCs and MinGW64. So again, KDE Craft could build all of this software from scratch, such as GNU said for Windows, or could download the pre-built artifacts from a project which builds SED for Windows, such as MinGW64 and MCs. Okay, in here it's configure, make, install. This source code tarball msys2 minus base x8664.tar.xz. From files.kd.org/craft/qt. No, where? From github.com msys2 minus installer releases. So we release source code tarball. Before building from source, it tried to download from the KDE Craft online cache the pre-built version of this release tarball. Could not find it, says could not find, and then it tries from source code in here. It has downloaded the tarball, tar.xz, checked the SHA-256 sum, and now it's going. It has the source code tarball. It has extracted it at this step using 7za.exe, and then it this is probably GNU configure or autoconf and then configure /configure. Probably just /configure because this is a release tarball. This is probably make, which compiles. This is probably make install, which copies the built artifacts and not only to the final destination directory. Let's hope not many other packages need to be compiled from source. GPG errors. This is downloading the public keys for some open source maintainers, from what I see, from MCs2 project. Okay, so Perl, libopenssl2, GNU TLS, bash completion, CA certificates, curl file, pacman, the package manager from Arch for MinGW64 and MCs2. Info, the alternative to man pages, libcurl, xz uncompressor, wget again, and curses for text user interfaces at the command line, such as Midnight Commander, for instance. And these are actually Arch packages that are available for the MC's distribution of open source packages for Windows. It's using the Pacman package manager with command lines that you probably know if you have used Arch Linux, the family of Linux operating systems. So pacman minus uppercase S, lowercase u. And these are Pacman packages. So we're inside of a Pacman transaction right now. Unfortunately, when you click inside of the window, it starts starts a selection, which that might block the terminal, which might block the process tree that tries to write to the terminal. Again, using Pacman is installing many GNU build toolchain packages such as M4, Automake, Bison, AutoConf, AutoConf wrapper, PackageConf, etc. So I saw it try to install package config, Ninja, Perl, more package config, libunistring, gettext, GNU gettext. So this time it could find the file inside of the KDE Craft cache, the gettext pre-built 7z file. It's using that instead of getting the latest source code tarball from GNU gettext and configuring, making, installing that thing. SQLite, libffi. Python 3.11.7. So KDE Craft uses mostly the Python programming language, and they provide their own version of Python in which they have tested that the Python source code works correctly, which is probably this one, 3.11.7. Okay, it's installing many Python modules inside of there. Virtual env, file lock, dist lib. And it has arrived at a step craft blueprints for KDE. And this is it, it's done. Snortoast is for these notifications that seem to be coming from the Windows system tray. So the installation seems to be complete and correct. Setup complete. Now we can run the following command to get started. I don't have any antiviruses. I have a machine specific just for KDE Craft. I'm not going to browse the internet and install anything interesting here. And I did that in group policy, administrative templates, Windows components, Microsoft Defender antivirus, turn off, enabled, okay. Okay, it's documented in here. And that was it, installing the build framework KDE Craft. We can even close the PowerShell or restart the machine or do something, anything else. But when we want to start building KDE software using KDE Craft, we'll always start a PowerShell. I'm not sure if it needs to be elevated. I'll elevate it just in case. Again, it's a machine that's dedicated just for KDE Craft. Okay, similar to a Python venv, you need to enter that environment. And it will say when it finished entering the environment correctly by giving you this confirmation. It says that you're in the KDE Craft environment. This is the root directory C:\craft root. This is the compiler and application binary interface that you're going to use. And you're going to use a KDE Craft online cache from this URL. Okay, next up, we can start crafting. So the first thing that we want, Craft is similar to a package manager, so similar to apt or DNF or pacman in the major families of Linux operating systems. One of the first things that you learn when you learn the syntax of how to run a package manager from the command line is how to search for packages. Let's search for the simplest one of them, which is kconfig. Let's start with that. This is downloading the package metadata, and then it's going to search in it. So it did find it. It's a KDE framework. It's for Qt 6 because the entire installation of KDE Craft is using Qt 6. And the possibilities are the Git master branch, which is the default. In here it says available versions, or the other KDE Git branches other than master. So for the past and future releases. I'm going to build only from the Git master branch. Okay, and this is how you download all of the dependencies, install a package, build a package with the simplest command line possible, which is craft, no parameters, and then the name of the package, kconfig go. Okay, so it did broadly, which is a compression algorithm. How do I make this thing? Okay, scroll. What else? ZSTD, which is a compression algorithm, PNG, which is a image codec, libjpeg turbo image codec, dbus for the IPC interprocess communication framework, arfbus for fonts. What else? PCRE, Python compatible regular expressions version 2. Another Bison, the Flex Bison. And then Qt framework, Qt base 6.7.1. It exists in the cache, so it doesn't need to be rebuilt from scratch, which is a good thing. Other Qt 6 components, Qt language server, Qt declarative, which contains Qt quick and QML. Qt shader tools. Okay, LLVM. the framework that's used by CLang, C and C++ compiler, and many other things. Mesa, the open source OpenGL library, Git CLang format, which is a static analysis tool that looks over C++ files and points out format errors or warnings. Qt tools, another Qt module. Qt translations. ICO utils. ECF, KDE Extra CMake modules, and kconfig. And kconfig, it has downloaded the 6.3.0 rebuilt version. It did not build kconfig master grid branch. Okay, how do we say that we want the master branch? We'll find out. Let's see if we try to install the next simplest KDE module, which is the graphical user interface application kcalc. If we probably know that KDE Craft kcalc will download pre-built versions of all of the dependencies, including of 20 KDE frameworks version 6. But it used to build from git master the final parameter of the Craft command line, which is kcalc, a KDE Git repository. Let's see if this is the case. So we can see it downloading pre-built 7-zip files from the cache for everything. Docbook libxslt docbook for the product manual, which in KDE speak is called a handbook. kdoc tools, lame for MP3 encoding. I'm not sure why it's needed by kcalc. SDL for gaming. AOM, audio video codec. And this one will be compiled from scratch. Either the KDE Craft online cache doesn't contain libaom, or maybe there's a newer libaom release, source code tarball. And we're downloading and compiling and installing that thing. Okay, so 15 C++ translation units remaining. It's probably using Ninja, and it's probably using all of my CPUs, which are 14. So it should be fast. And then using Meson, it compiles DAV1D, which is another audio video codec. Or maybe this cannot be hosted in the KDE Craft cache because they're encumbered by audio video codec patents or something. Okay, so this will take a second. So this was ASVT-AV1, which is another audio video codec. And now we're at AMF GPU Open, I know, an AMD thing, which was downloaded as a source code release tarball from GitHub. But then NVIDIA codecs. But then in the cache there was a pre-built version. FFmpeg, the open source audio video framework. What is this thing doing? It's running /configure. So we need to install lame, which is an MP3 encoding framework library, because it wants to compile FFmpeg from source with most of the audio video codecs enabled. So it enabled NVDEC, FFNV codec, so the NVIDIA things, NVEnc. SVT-AV1, we saw it previously being built. Also, SDL2 is a dependency of FFmpeg and the AMF library, the one from the GPU Open GitHub repository. So it's compiling the C framework and library FFmpeg. So it has finished building FFmpeg, installing them. It installed other KDE frameworks version 6, other Qt 6 modules. Now it's doing the direct dependencies of the KDE Git repository kcalc, which are GNU and PFR. Which also does not seem to exist in the cache. It needs to be compiled. Autoreconf, configure. And now we're at kcalc. Let's see how it does it. So it has installed the final dependency of kcalc, which was the Qt 6 module Qt 5 compat for compatibility between Qt 6 and Qt 5. And then it says that it tried to find kcalc 24052 in the KDE Craft cache, could not find it because the cache is for 2404. And then it has downloaded the source code release tarball for kcalc, which is from the release service, which is KDE Gear 2405.2.tar.xz. Checked that archive with a SHA-256 sum, extracted the archive, and then it does cmake -g, which means generator, ninja, and then the usual cmake command line, install prefix, cmake prefix path, cmake required includes, C standard include directories, cmake export compile commands on, build type rel with debinfo, so you cannot actually run the debugger on the build binary files of kcalc, install system runtime libs skip on. Okay, and the source code is in C:\\underscore because of Microsoft Visual C++ compiler limitations. Okay, so this is doing cmake configure step until here where it found all of the dependencies, and then it's running Ninja without any parameters in another directory. Not in the directory where the source code was extracted from the source code release tarball. Okay, and then it runs Ninja install. This is the actual installation target, which is C:\underscore some random thing /image -rel with debinfo -version 24052 craft root bin data doc html svk calc and then pz2. So this is a translation, a manual translated in Swedish. These are internationalization things. And there's the PDB file available. So this is the kcalc, which is a Windows graphical user interface executable with many DLL dependencies. And it was built with in a release mode, so with optimization probably -02 equivalent in MFVC++. And the debug symbols are in a separate file, kcalc.pdb. Okay. Let's see how we can run the output. We can create a Windows exe file if we want. Let's try that. Craft -- package kcalc. It has the dependencies NSIS, which is the installer framework for Winamp media player application from Nullsoft. NSIS, it's an open source installer framework for Windows. So let's run what it says in here. Okay, NSS doesn't have any dependencies. It's available pre-built in the KDE cache, KDE Craft cache, and it has been just installed. We're running the penultimate command again, craft -- package space kcalc. Says that it didn't find debug symbols for any of the DLL dependencies. Or for some of them. I'm not sure what this is supposed to mean. It's probably some issue. Either it's the wrong path or the wrong version of something or something. Or it should suggest how you can rebuild everything such that these DBG directories will start appearing with debug symbols. Okay. What else? So DBG files. And then so this is an archival, this is another archival. It's creating 7 zip files from this directory. C:\craft root /build /kd /kd utils kcalc archive everything and put it into this 7 zip file. and then archive minus dbg directory, put it into the similar, another 7-zip file with similar name. But with minus dbg at the end of the file name. So it would be really great if you can find a way for the shells in Windows, so either the PowerShell terminal application or cmd.exe or Windows Terminal or Visual Studio Code terminal, whatever you use, such that when you click inside, it doesn't stop executing the command line 3 and start selecting text. That's a bad habit. Okay, let's see what it did. So it created two 7-zip files, one with debug symbols, one with the rest of the files. Then it has run the command line make nc/v3 and this output directory, and probably there's a configuration file somewhere. Maybe this one. NSI is, this is the script. Okay, and the output is a Windows executable that should require Elevate as administrator. Let's see if that's the case. So c:\/ craft root temporary directory, and then kcalc msvc.exe. The largest file in here with exe file name. Okay, and we can see the icon of require elevation as administrator. And we can also see the manifest. We cannot see anything because we're using the wrong file manager. I'm not ever using the built-in file manager in Windows, which is Windows File Explorer. I'm always using Total Commander. So let's do the same thing there. Craft root, tmp, the largest file there. By size, like this. Okay. So this thing, let's change its extension, should be, let's delete this file. Ctrl-CV and change the extension of this thing from exe to res. Visual Studio will open by default res files. These are the resources that are included in the portable executable Windows executable file kcalc.exe. We're looking at the RT manifest category. In there, there's this resource 1, which is a XML. And we're going to paste it somewhere. I'm not sure where. How do we enable word wrap? And we can't really read this thing. So there's no comments as far as I see. And it says requested privileges, highest available UI access false, which actually is require administrator. And we can see that when we click on the installer, double click on it, it will ask for user account control, elevate as administrator. We go yes. So this makes the installer capable of installing the application not just per user, but for the entire system, for all of the users, such that it can install in c:\program space data program space files directory. Install for anyone, correct, 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 details. So it's just some 7z files in there which are being extracted, which is the correct way of doing Windows installers. You should not put a million files inside of the definition of a Wix toolset installer project, MSI installer project, or NSIS. You should just have a 7-zip. And then you should have no upgrade scenarios for your installer. The installer should know just install and uninstall. Install extracts the 7 zips that you have inside of the installer. Uninstall deletes all of the files that were just extracted from 7-zip, or even better, deletes the installation directory of the product. Keep it simple and easy to debug. Okay, he said that he tried to write to the start menu. Let's see if that happened. All apps, letter K, nothing. KDE, nothing. Kcraft, we see it, but we don't see the K calculator. So I would expect in here to create a subdirectory named KDE, and in there to put the kcalc application. This is Microsoft's calculator application. Okay, so maybe it did not create a start menu item for kcalc. Let's see if it actually installed where it said it would. So c:\program files without x86. So this is for 32-bit programs. This is for 64-bit programs. We're 64-bit, both the operating system and KDE Craft. kcalc in here. Maybe this should be under a KDE directory, or maybe not. Okay, let's see. A Craft ICO. I don't see why this would be there. Maybe for the uninstaller. Let's see if the application appears in add remove programs. It does appear in system set in Windows 11 Pro settings, apps, installed apps. Let's see about the other one. How do we search for it? Control panel and uninstall a program. It also appears in here, publisher KDEV. I'm not sure if it's published by KDEV because I'm not, I guess none of the executables and the DLLs are actually digitally signed because I've just built them on my machine. Okay, the version is the correct one. Does it have a website? Yes, it does. It takes us to KDE Craft instead of taking us to the application, to where it probably should take us. KDE apps, kcalc. So in here. Okay, so from what I see, the default of KDE Craft has changed from building kcalc from Git master branch, and now the default is to build it from the newest source code release tarball, which is indeed this one, 24052, which we can see also in here. Okay, so we saw that the application does appear correctly in add remove programs. It was installed in the correct directory. There's this Linux style separation between no, there's not. Okay, then what exactly is lib? OSSL modules, GNU get text. FFmpeg, FF presets are part of kcalc application. Why? Okay, these are translations for glib, the GNU, the GTK library, not glibc, which is the GNU C library. Where's my info? Let's see. German. Okay, so GNU get text mo files for 2 DLL files. So the fact that this directory exists is weird. /etc SSL configuration. Wow. I'm not sure, just for support for navigating out of the kcalc graphical user interface applications. So when you package a application using craft and then where are you? -- package, the resulting installer file will contain hundreds of files which are not actually needed, but then a person needs to care and remove 2 random files from there, from the installer, uninstall cleanly, reinstall the new built installer, and prove that kcalc, the graphical user interface application, continues to work as well as previously when the 2 extra files existed, and then do a git commit, git merge request. Then delete 10 more files, etc., until only the actual needed files remain in /program files /kcalc. Dbus session. So kcalc should not use dbus at all. Kcalc should use inter-process communication just in order to not start 2 kcalcs at the same time, which is called the single instance functionality. And that should not be implemented using dbus on Windows, because dbus is not a native inter-process communication IPC framework in Windows, and why would you install it build it and install it into all of the KDE applications that are built using craft space -- package, which might be many of them, just for the single instance application functionality. Okay, and then bin contains most of the files. So I can see in here executable files. Many of them, way too many of them, like more than 2 in here are not needed, and they're more than 200. Like jio.exe is certainly not needed by kcalc. Or ffprobe or ffmpeg. And then many DLLs, which are equivalent to Linux SO files, which are, so these are dynamic link libraries. Let's actually see what's inside of these DLLs. We're going to use the Windows app dependencies. How do we get this up? Dependencies .exe. This one. Lucas G dependencies. 3 years ago. Wow, that's old. So previously there was a tool which was called Dependency Walker from Microsoft, a very official application, which was the way that you saw a DLL, what functions does it export, what other C programming language symbols does it export, and then a DLL, what C programming language symbols does it import from other DLLs, and the same for executable files. But then development on that thing stalled from, I don't know, 2015. And then in 2017, a C# applications that's similar to Dependency Walker and had less bugs was this one, Lucas G dependencies. But maybe it's still part of the Windows driver kit. Okay, so it's not part of the Windows Platform SDK 10 or 11. Where was that thing? Lucas G. Okay, releases. Which one? The hugest one. Maybe this one. Let's put it in a temporary directory. I have installed the 7-zip file archive manager on Archiver. And there's 2 executables in there. One is with the graphical user interface, and the other one is the command line application. So we'll open the graphical user interface one. And we look at the dependencies of the app itself, which is called KCalc, the one that has an icon. Okay, so it's an executable, doesn't export any C programming language symbols. We can see it in here at the exported table. In the imported table, it imports a million of symbols because it's a C++ application. So this is from the KDE framework version 6 library KF notifications, K notifications. XML GUI builder from KXML GUI. So these are C++ signatures. You can unmangle them like this. So this is the name of the symbol that's exported from the DLL. It's a C programming language compatible name for the exported symbol, but in fact it's a C++ symbol, and if you unmangle this string you get the actual C++ signature. So public static void, void being the return type. cDecl is the calling convention. In Windows, at least for the 32-bit apps, you would have the calling convention fast call, standard call, cdecal, and what else? Another one, oleapi or something. Depending on the calling convention, the way a function is called will be implemented differently using CPU registers and the programming stack programs, running program stack. Okay, so it takes just one parameter, which is a Qt style string. So const ref qstring. The method is named beep and is a static method. We can see it doesn't receive a this as parameter, and the full name of the static method is kNotification : beep. So many KDE frameworks symbols. We can sort by module name, such that the DLLs which start with KF6 come in the same block. So starting from here, ending close to the end. KCalc depends on two GNU libraries, which are not part of the KDE project, MPFR and GMP. This one. Okay, UCRT base is a Microsoft Windows DLL. Shell 32 is a Win32 API. Kernel 32 is a Win32 API. And VC runtime is a Visual Studio 2022 C++ runtime. There's this version with _1 at the end and the one without. Okay, there's also the Qt modules and libraries, which all export C++ symbols, XML, widgets, many widgets because this is a Qt widgets application, not a QML application. GUI, core, and Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable 140. Okay. And if you want to see the beep function on what it depends, so that's part of kNotifications. It exports many functions, but just one of the functions is needed by KCalc, which is the kNotification beep function. These are the rest of the exported symbols. In Windows, your DLLs, so the binary files that export symbols, have each symbol has or can have a integer attached corresponding. So the function string could be missing altogether, and the only thing that's available to the consumers of the DLL is just the fact that there exists ordinal 1, ordinal 2, ordinal 3. And the consumers of the library can call whatever symbol is in here by just calling the symbol with ordinal 1 inside of the DLL. Okay. Different C++ methods that have the exact same name, so kNotification event. are exported multiple times because they're C++ overrides. Might have a different list of arguments, parameters, like in this case, one for QString, another for QPixMap, and another for QFlags of notification flag. All of these mangle in different ways towards the C programming language. Okay, so now we know what DLLs are, what executables are, how they communicate between each other. There's also the concept of API sets in Windows, where one DLL will actually not do much, but it will just export a symbol, and when somebody calls that symbol will immediately delegate to a totally different DLL and a symbol in there. Like this. This DLL doesn't do actually anything. API ms win crd heap 11 1 0 DLL. Just immediately when you call one of these exported functions from this DLL, will immediately call the exported function probably with the exact same name from this DLL. So it's a, I don't know, shim translation layer. Okay. Let's go back to KCalc. Let's make sure that the application starts and runs correctly. How do we change that? So square root of 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 is 1, 1, 1. Okay, so it works correctly. This shadow, I'm not sure if it's okay. Looks wrong. It's too dark, too bulky, to something. And then some icons in here are not actually KDE icons from the default icon set that KDE uses. Some actually come from the Qt framework. These ones for undo, redo, copy, paste. So these are similar to the icons that exist in Windows. And you can see that because they have a different size. They are way larger. The ones from that Qt takes from Windows versus the one that KDE takes from Breeze icon theme. Okay, this looks really, really bad. I'm not sure what's happening here. The fact that general settings doesn't look at a tab header, the fact that restore defaults doesn't look like a button. Something's wrong here. Icon missing for constants. Group boxes are not supposed to look like this in the Qt widgets Breeze theme. This font doesn't look well, this AA font. I'm not sure. So the styling of the tabs is totally not okay. Too large font, and you don't see where the tab starts and where the tab ends, and that it's the tab of this thing. This is the content of this tab. Set decimal precision, apply, and then restore defaults. The button is chopped. something's fishy in here. So it's transparent, which I'm not sure why it would be transparent. And then the wrong color for the broom icon. So the current row has the icon with the wrong color, should be dark gray, and it's totally white. The colored icons are okay because they don't change colors, but the ones which are monochrome have the wrong foreground color in here. And also this thing should should look like a rounded rectangle, which it looks like a ship. So you only can see the horizontal line. You cannot see what's above the button when that line is not selected. The color scheme in here seems all over the place. You would think that this thing is disabled, and it's not. So the color should be black, not the disabled color. So there's issues with the theme that's used on Windows. The fact that the KDE applications try to use the KDE theme on Windows, which is Breeze, is great. But then the fact that the theme is not looking great, the fact that icons are not yet recolored correctly, that's still a work in progress, still not done with 2 dones. Okay, let's see if kcalc works correctly if we copy paste the directory. Let's put it in a temporary directory and then in here. So KDE applications should not write to the Windows registry anything else except the fact that the application was installed. So add remove programs information, because that's where add remove programs resides, in the Windows registry. But then the application should run as is without depending on having some com, decom components registered, or just copying the directory should be enough. So let's see if it's indeed enough. Let's also rename this directory. It's administrator. Okay. Calc. And it starts correctly. So this means that we can make a backup of this thing. And start randomly deleting files and determine that the application still runs correctly. And then we'll do a git commit git merge request where we ask that next time when we call craft space -- package kcalc, those files will not be included in the NSIS Windows installer. And the fact that it's copying for 2 minutes the contents of kcalc, which is just a simple desktop calculator, that's also a bad sign. Almost 400 megabytes, half a gigabyte. We totally can do better. So I'm going to guess that the ffmpeg executables are not needed. So these 3. Okay, what else? The ffmpeg things. And it runs the same way, hopefully. The handbook goes online. On Windows, it doesn't install the KDE help viewer, which is a good thing. But then I saw KDE Craft when it built KCalc that it also built the manual of the KCalc product and also translated it into various languages. And then we have no way of actually viewing that thing. Maybe on Windows, the manual KCalc handbook should not be built at all. Who knows? This would speed up the build process, since there's no way of actually seeing the manual. This doesn't look here okay. It seems to be, cut. Should go, this rounded rectangle should go until the end, or maybe even better, should not even exist. The background color is okay. There's no need to have a different color than the background color. Let's see if the URLs actually work. And they do. Okay, so that was it. That was how to build KDE software from source using the KDE build framework, KDE Craft. As we saw, at least this time, by default, it built the latest release source code tarball for KCalc, which was not expected, but probably you can configure KDE Craft to build KCalc from Git master branch. Let's see how we would do that. There's a way of configuring KDE Craft like this. When you say that all of the KDE frameworks should be master, you say craft --set version equals, and the version is master space KDE/frameworks. So the syntax would be like this: craft --set version equals master KDE.frameworks. So KDE frameworks are more than one KDE Git repository. There are maybe 90. And for all of these, KDE Craft has said that in the future, when you instruct KDE Craft to build one of the KDE frameworks, instead of downloading the latest source code release tarball of that KDE framework, the Git master branch will be git cloned locally and built from there. Craft set just writes a line in a configuration file, doesn't build software. But the next time when you build software, this setting will be considered. And what it does, it adds these two lines in this configuration file. Okay. You can use integrated development environments in Windows with KDE Craft. There's a way of using the Qt default integrated development environment, which is called Qt Creator, which you will need to install separately, probably using the Qt online installer from the official qt.io website of the Qt framework. Okay, so in order to build KCalc use from the master branch, you would say craft search KCalc. Let's close the application. Says that one of the available versions is master, and then you're using this command line. master, kcalc. And now when we build kcalc, craft space kcalc, we'll actually download kcalc from Git. This thing. Where are you? So says that it could not find in the KDE Craft cache the kcalc master pre-built, which would be wrong to do. The version master should never be cached into the KDE Craft cache, online cache. And then it does git clone, and then the URL https://invent.kde.org/kd/kcalc.git into the source directory. KDE Calc has the concept of a source directory. Okay, and then it's doing what it did before, which is CMake configure, Ninja, and Ninja install. This is the Ninja step 75 C++ translation units and other things. And now this was Ninja install. Okay, and now we can run the package again to create a new NSys package with not the kcalc from the latest source code release version, which is 24052, but the one from the master branch. Not much has changed between the KDE Git master branch and the release version. Let's see that the uninstaller works. Okay, right click on the Windows Start menu, installed apps, kcalc, the three buttons, three dots button, uninstall, uninstall, yes, uninstall, show details. So this should just delete the directory c:\program files /kcalc. Does not matter what's inside of there. If additional files have been created by you starting dbus or something, then all of those files should be deleted. If you put some files, you hide some files in there, some important photographs that you took with your mobile phone in there, then those should be nuked as well. So the entire directory should be just deleted. c:\program files /kcalc. That's the simplest uninstaller, and it's easy to understand by users. Okay. And right now it's still building, compressing the two 7-zip files, out of which a NSys installer will be created, which is this one, NSS. So C craft root tmp and the newest file, not really. So it has master in the name and exe at the extension. Does it continue running? Was there some bug introduced? Let's see. Full graphical user interface, installer wizard. Everybody, correct directory. Let's see if the directory was actually deleted previously. It was, that's great. So it says that it's creating a start menu folder. And I have the option of not writing things to the start menu, which I did not check. So it should write to the start menu, but I couldn't find that start menu shortcut. Okay, visit project homepage, goes to the craft wiki page, finish. Let's look through the start menu again. Nothing at kcalc. Maybe it created an empty directory, or who knows what it did. Looks like a bug. There's not enough manual testing on either KDE Craft on Windows 11 Pro with Qt 6 and also on the generated installers for the KDE Git repositories or the KDE projects. So kcalc, the Windows installer built using KDE Craft for Qt 6, did not get much manual testing this year. So this is it. This was how you can use the KDE build framework KDE Craft to build KDE software from source, either from source tarballs or from the Git branches, Git master branch in general. We've built kconfig, a KDE framework, which depends only on extra CMake modules, another KDE Git repository. And then we built the KDE desktop calculator, which is called kcalc, which depended on FFmpeg, which depended on all sorts of AMD, NVIDIA, hardware accelerated video codecs. And it took a while to build all of these FFmpeg and their dependencies. But other than that, the vast majority of the dependencies have not been compiled from source on my machine, but they have been downloaded from the KDE Craft online cache. So all of the Qt modules, for instance. Thank you.